Today's stream is brought to you by this piece of shit drone that I got on Amazon for 20 bucks. This is an amazing drone. I use it every time I give Clinton more than 5 greenies and he has food in his bowl and he still asks for a greenie, he gets drone striked. Every time Oreo doesn't wipe his ass, he gets drone striked. Barry never gets drone striked because she's an adorable little angel. But Clinton, Oreo, droned. Right here. The drone. The drone. So.
Like this? That's how much there is under.
No, I think that looks like junk.
That's it. That's junk. No, like I saw that the like technically half an inch from that hole there was like a big popcorning, so I uncovered that and I followed it back to the original thing and I was like, yeah, that's dead.
That sounds unfixable.
Yeah, that's very bad.
Are we all ready for another episode of component level board repair? Alright, here we're going to be working on an A1707 MacBook Pro. Let's get to work, see what's wrong with this machine, why it's not turning on, and if we can make it work again. Going to put the desk cam on here. Lewis, I started my new job today. Thank you for all your advice and commentary. That's awesome, Christopher Kelly. I'm glad you started a new job. I hope it's a good job. I hope they treat you well. How goes things for the new place? I am still waiting on a lease. Here's the thing. I'm honestly hoping that the lease gets pushed back, and here's why. I want to have a contractor that I trust that's not going to fuck me ready to go from the moment that I get the lease. Because here's the thing. The moment I get the lease, that's when I start paying. So right now, if I'm not paying, I'd rather do my research in the time that I'm not paying than do my research trying to find someone while I am paying. Hi, Lewis. 13 and I love repair, but I am so sad I don't want to try to refurbish anymore. Why are you sad? What's going on, Rockford? Let's have a conversation. What's keeping you down? Eli got a screen plus cable replaced for free by geniuses because it started delaminating. Yes, Apple does that for free. They have been doing that for free for a very long time. So anytime somebody says they have a delaminated MacBook screen, I usually refer them to Apple because Apple will do it for free. And there's no beating free. This is something that I put on my website a while ago. So this is actually a Wayback Machine version of my website. So if you take a look over here on the About Us, Ethics and Integrity section, which should still be here on my new website, if you scroll down, if Time Warner ever loads it, you can do it, Time Warner. I believe in you. Goodwill. We will never let someone pay us for a repair that the manufacturer will perform for free. Humble. We do not perform jobs we cannot perform properly. You will hear us beg you to go somewhere else if we feel we are not the best fit for the job. So these two things over here. So we actually have a canned response for that. So if you have a delaminating screen issue, I'll usually ask people if they've went to Apple already, because Apple will do that for free. We used to have pretty good deals on the screens for those, and those have all gone away on the A1398 and A1502 models. Okay, so there's a couple of things I notice here that make me want to cry. The first over here is that the PCH does not appear to have its edge bonding around it. And it also appears to have some sticky stuff over there, which leads me to believe that this has been reflowed. Let's take a look and see if that's the case, because if it is, I'm going to look at the history of the machine, and then I'm going to throw this machine in the garbage. Okay, you reflowed the PCH. That is what I call an instant toss into the garbage, because I'm not wasting my time on that shit. And it looks like, from what I'm reading over here, that this has been to another store that reflowed the PCH, and the person sending it to me is themselves another store. I hope you enjoy your wasted money on shipping, because my website tells you if you fucked with it, don't send it here. I don't get it. Within a no-fix, no-fee model, what kind of cunt do you have to be within a no-fix, no-fee model to send something after you did something to it that's going to make it more difficult, if not impossible, for the next place to fix, and therefore make money off of? Fuck you! It's not like my website doesn't already say this. Okay, PCH reflowed by dumbass, GTFO, slot L22, not wasting time on this unless they agree to pay a fee, whether or not it is fixable. Get the fuck out of here. Alright, next. Wasting time on that shit. Alright, so today we've got an A1706 that's not turning on. Let's open this thing up and try and figure out what is wrong with it. How's the new store coming along? It's coming along. Gotta find a contractor, hoping to find a contractor before I sign my lease. Because if I find the contractor... Oh no, I can already tell that Dumb was here. See this? This wasn't closed properly. You look at this. Look at this. Look at how that's curving up over here. I could fit my screwdriver in here. This is pathetic. The fuck? Oh, that's awful. Absolutely awful. What did they do to you, little MacBook? They had no understanding of how you work, little MacBook. Oh, I'm so sorry, little MacBook. I don't know if there's an architect at this point, Dutch. I had not gotten that far. We may find a company that has one in-house. We may find an architect and then just outsource it to a generic contractor. Yeah, that's all up in the air at the moment. The battery's not exploding, because if the battery was exploding, it'd be moving up from here, not from here. This is from dumbass that opened it and couldn't be bothered to slide it back in properly before giving it back to the customer. You should always make sure that when you're giving it to your customer that you slide it back in properly. Also tried to refurbish the glass from a 6S and broke LCD while removing glass. Oh, now I get why you're depressed. Because you're actually trying to do glass only rub. What the... What is this yellow tape? Why the fuck is there yellow tape on everything? What did you do? Alright, so we're going to unplug the battery. If your audio is out of sync while watching this video, you might just be using a MacBook. Okay, so we have now unplugged the battery and the battery indicator cable. That's going to allow the machine to communicate with the battery and see how much power is left in it. I want to see how... What the hell is wrong with this thing? My USB-C amp meter is acting funny. Come on. Really? Oh, let's try this one. That was the broken one. Alright, it looks like it goes up to 20 volts and 500 milliamps. Now that should be turning on. That's power that's working pretty much. Okay, we're going to take a couple of measurements using Paul Daniels' software. Let's just turn on the Paul Daniels software. Oh, look at that beautiful Paul Daniels software up there. That is some beautiful Paul Daniels software. Some of the best Paul Daniels software I've ever seen, actually. Okay, so let's see what it is that we're getting for a backlight voltage. Actually, I don't even need to do that because I see what I'm getting here. I'm getting a question mark folder. Oh boy, that's no fun. Okay, so the issue here is not that it's not turning on, but rather that it's not seeing the SSD. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a look at this lifeboat connector. Since this machine has been abused by a meanie, I'm going to be curious to see what's going on by this lifeboat connector over here. We're just going to give that a quick examination. And that looks clean. Now we're going to take the board out of the case. We're just going to take this board out of its casing and see if there's anything going on by the SSD power rails. There's a probe point that very commonly corrodes on this side, and I have a feeling on this machine that it will be corroded for a couple of reasons. Main one being that I see either sign of rust or coffee or something on that screw hole. So something is up over there. We are going to remove the screws from this, get this board out of here, and see if the probe point for our SSD power rail is messed up, which I'm imagining to be the case. Okay, so he's been punished for that already. I love Paul Daniels' software. Paul Daniels makes some quality software. Some real thought gets put into that. Paul Daniels' software is made with love and care. Respect for the consumer. Everybody should check out Paul Daniels' YouTube channel at youtube.com/19PLD/73. That's 19PLD73. Paul Daniels. I've always dreamed of the day that Paul Daniels and I could be neighbors. And then he'd just be able to walk over new versions of Flex Board View. We'd be able to drink and enjoy the sunset as I use his new amazing software. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborhood day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I've always wanted to have software just like yours. I've always wanted to use a computer with software like yours. So let's make the most of this beautiful program. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my default PDF viewer? Would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day. Would you be mine? Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Would you be my neighbor? It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day. Do we have any plastic bags over here? Oh, awesome. Thank you. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? What are you? Alright, let's open up Flex Board View, the amazing software engineered by Paul Daniels at pldaniels.com, and see what the little probe point is for, and see if that's the reason that our SSD is not working. I wonder if that resistor has anything to do with the fact that our solid-state drive is not working. We're getting a question mark folder. Now granted, that could also be logical corruption, not a bad SSD. I haven't tested for that yet. I'm making the guess that the water damage and the SSD not working are not a coincidence. If we take a look using Paul Daniels' amazing board view software, you'll see that this over here is actually just for Thunderbolt. Yeah. SPI bus. It's worth replacing for sure, but I don't think that's specifically the cause of our issue. And there are other USB-C things over here that are also giving us trouble, like that resistor over there. But again, I still don't quite believe that that's exactly what's causing our SSD issue. So let me just get the microscope in perfect focus here, so that you can see everything. And now, as I said, I thought that this side of the board would have been the one that was damaged because of that little rust or food-looking junk on that screw hole. And here we go. So now, what are you? What's that? So let's take a look at what that probe point is for. What do we have right over there next to our CD3215? So that's going to be right above the JTAG connector.
From this one?
And right below the...
You're mad, man.
That's going to be this. So that's going to be PP3V3 UPC TB LDO. What's that for? That is voltage that goes in. That is an LDO from the CD3215. It's gonna, and that is going to pull up a DisplayPort auxiliary channel. So that is going to be required for, I imagine, for us to have a data line for DisplayPort so that you have external monitor. While that's important for external monitor, again, we still have to keep in mind what our original flaw here is, a question mark folder on the screen. So as nasty as that is, I am not going to discontinue my search just yet. Hey, you've got two empty probe points over here. What are those two for? Let's take a look. See what those two are for. Those two look like... Is that phone still overheating?
It has a NAND error.
Oh, roar.
Only half of the backup showing up and the other half
Roar.
after it's done. Backup.
Is that one of those things where if you have half a backup, you have half the data, or you have or it's just useless?
I think
Like roar.
I'm not really sure about this one. That's all source of issues.
Okay. That's good. So these two probe points also have to do with Thunderbolt, and they are completely off the board. And that is... that's Thunderbolt clock and Thunderbolt data. What's this resistor over here for? That is for a thermal sensor. So this machine's probably going to run really slow. Alright, we're just going to continue looking through this. Also on this side of the board as well, see if there's anything corroded. Alright, we got the same thing with these CD3215s as well. We've also got a probe point right over here that looks like it's seen better days. So we're just going to keep looking until we find something that seems like it could be relevant to the issue that this board is showing us. Alright, so that is that little clock thing again. That is no good. It's corroded right through the board. Alright, what do we got over there? That is another voltage line for a thermal sensor. Yeah, this board's got a whole bunch of junk. Okay, but we are getting close. So you have SSD voltages in this area. PP1V2 SSD, PP1V8 SSD. Over here you have a corroded Hall sensor. There's something broken off over there. Something broken off over there. Okay, that is voltage going to a chip for audio. Audio is not our issue. So we're finding a lot of issues with this board that have nothing to do with our actual problem, which means that even once we fix our actual problem, we're going to be buried in a myriad of other problems. Not very encouraging, to say the least. There's all this corrosion by the CD3215. I shipped something to the store for Paul. It should be there by the 10th. Did you ship Paul Tesla decals? Because Paul loves Teslas, especially Tesla decals. It's a pull down resistor for debug. 3v3 LDO. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day in the... Would you be mine? Would you be mine? Now we're going to see what all these traces by this JTAG are for. UPC, Thunderbolt, SMC, I2C for Thunderbolt, I2C for Thunderbolt, all I2C for Thunderbolt. Okay, now I'm kind of curious how Thunderbolt being corroded is going to affect the internal SSD. Could lot of this due to the way you found the Mac? What? I could start fixing all the Thunderbolt things that are wrong or funny. I'll ship Paul a Model 3 bumper and stickers. Paul would love that. Is there anything for the SSD on the side of the board that I should be checking? I do recall there being something for the SSD around this side. some point I should stop staring at this and just start replacing things, but I don't have an easily available donor. Nah. I suppose I could turn it on and see if SSD voltages are present. Or, what's this over here? Interesting little corroded resistor. What are you? Ooh. 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 What are you? PPVin 2.7 volt NAND. I wonder what you do. Okay. So this U9300, let's see, Piccolo PMIC. So Piccolo is the PMIC, Power Management Integrated Circuit, for powering my NAND. And this resistor goes to IUVD. It goes to the IUD for Piccolo. So this is going to keep Piccolo from getting pregnant. But if Piccolo does not get 2.7 volts of NAND LB on its IUD, it will wind up having children that will erase everything on the drive, and then you will wind up with a question mark folder. So, what we're going to do here is replace that with another 1.3 million ohm resistor, since that is blown. Watched your video on low stakes learning and high tolerance for failure, trying to grasp the basics of electronics for 6 years and not really got anywhere. That investment are still a dark art to me. That investment, I'm bummed out and would appreciate your advice. I think what you're going to have to do is stop going about it on your own. You know, at some point you just have to realize and just accept the fact that there are things that other people can learn that you're not able to learn, and then work with them, and they'll point out to you what you're missing. You know, you're going to have to work with somebody else, and that's going to mean putting aside your ego and putting aside the I really want to figure it out on my own thing, and being open to being criticized by somebody who knows way more than you, and just work with them. I mean, that's what I had to do several times when I was learning new things, and I still have to do it today. And I think that once you understand everything, once you finally start to get those ka-ching moments, those aha moments, it's not really going to matter to you anymore if you got those aha moments as a result of somebody else helping you have that aha moment. You're simply going to be so happy that the things make sense that you're not going to care. You know, there's only so much you can figure out in a vacuum, and it's totally okay if you need to ask someone one-on-one if you can't get it. And at some point, you just may realize that this just ain't for you. The same way that, you know, I tried to take a CPR AED class, and the teacher told me that if I did it, I would continuously wind up I would kill people, not just the doll. And that I just shouldn't do this. Just don't do this. You're going to hurt and kill people. Please don't take a recertification. And I'm 30 years old, but I'd rather be a lifeguard making $9.15 an hour by the side of some Staten Island swimming pool 8 hours a day, not engaging my brain at all, literally sitting down doing nothing? Or would I rather have my own store doing what I do now? You know, when people tell you that you can't do something, well, first, or if you're telling yourself you can't do something, first, try to get help from other people that are good at it, that want to teach, that really enjoy teaching and showing people things. And B, if you really genuinely do suck, time to move on and do something else. Heather says, how did you fail the CPR AD class? It's literally so easy. Let me do CPR on you and I'll show you. Eric is going to punch me for that, but no, seriously, I kept killing the fucking doll. I suck, okay? I failed it not once, but twice. And the first time I went, there was somebody in my class who was a retard. I don't mean it as an insult. I mean the mental and biological state of being retarded. He passed, I failed, I get it. It's been 13 years at this point, And people are still never going to let me live that down. So, we are going to take that resistor, and we are going to remove it. We are going to replace it with one that is not destroyed, and we're also going to try and bring that pad back to life as well. Come on.
Are
Oh.
we having a meeting?
Yeah, you're having a meeting.
Well, I told Steve.
You're the host of it.
I'm the host.
Yeah.
Test the computers before you put them in the window.
You can't have the meeting from the bathroom. Anything else you'd want to bring up for the company meeting? You're the host today. I'm sorry, I forgot about it, but
It's okay. I'll just tell everyone. It's fine.
we should. So,
Like, as long as I just remember to do it, it's fine.
good night. Thanks for everything, David. Son of a sukablet. Make that probe point happy and strong again. None of this would be easily doable or possible without the amazing software available on pldaniels.com.
Good night.
Good night. Thanks for everything, Hannah. Alright, so that was a 1.3 million ohm resistor. Now over here we have either a 1.2 million ohm or a 1.5 million ohm. 1.2 will be just fine, I'm sure. I don't have my soldering tweezers, so I'm kind of doing this the ghetto way, but it works. As long I want the resistor to be flat on the board, and I got that. So now, just gonna double check in that area, see if any of the other resistors may be related to the SSD or corroded. Yeah, you are as well. What are you for? Yeah, that over there is for PP1V2 SSD hot. And that is going to be, and yeah, I imagine that's important because you want your SSD to be hot. It is inside of a MacBook after all. That's going to be for feedback actually. So once this is a buck converter. So just like with the other buck converters that we've gone over, So this is going to do switching. This is a coil. After the coil, you have a bunch of caps to ground. And this is feedback, so it can see what it's creating. Now, if there's no feedback over here, what's going to happen? A buck converter is going to take a high voltage and turn it into a low voltage. But it needs to know what it's creating. Is it actually creating 2.7, or is it creating 1.2, or is it creating something more or less? It needs to know the frequency that it should be switching at. If it is too low in voltage, it's going to switch a little more often. If it's too high in voltage, it'll switch a little less often. Because what it's doing is it's taking the 13 volts, or 5 volts or 3 volts, and it's splitting it up into. So if you take 3 volts, right? Let's say you take 3 volts, and you have on for a second, off for a second, on for a second, off for a second. What do you get? 1.5 volts. If you have 3 volts, and you have it on, off, on, off, on, off, you're going to get 2 volts. If you have 3 volts, and you have, let's say, off for 2 seconds, on for 1. Off for 2 seconds, on for 1. You're going to get 1 volt. It needs to know how often it's going to be switching. And so that's what feedback is for. Now, if your feedback resistor is broken, you can't see what you're doing. And if I'm driving and I can't see the speed that I'm going, or if something jumps in front of my eyes, what am I going to do? Hit the brakes, because I don't want to accidentally hit a person or a car or run into a pole. The same way that the machine is not going to want to send 80 volts to your SSD, so if it can't see what it's doing, if there's no feedback, it's going to stop and not produce any voltage for your SSD. So we're going to take a 0 ohm resistor and replace that one for feedback so that SSD can go, so PP1V2 SSD hot can be back. So Lord knows I wouldn't want something in a MacBook to not be hot. Do that. I'm being kind of stupid right now. What happens when you... I really should just hook up my soldering tweezers. I gotta figure out where the hell my soldering tweezers went. They are not here. I'm avoiding using hot air for a reason. I'm right next to the NAND. That's what's holding all of this customer's data. And I don't want to risk their data being gone because I used a bunch of heat by the chip responsible for their data. That would be negligent of me, and so I'm willing to give up a little bit in terms of control if it means that I can get the same soldering job done without heating up their NAND. Because if I heat up their NAND, and this is not like normal repair. With normal repair, if you screw something up, you just, alright, whatever, you just, sorry, get them another one. Or if it's not something you did, then, well, they can get themselves another one. But you can always get another one. But when it comes to their data, you can't get another one. If you screw this up, all their stuff is gone. Yeah, man, I've gotten so rusty. I haven't really even been out of the game that long and I've gotten rusty. I'm now a business administrator. I'm not a tech anymore. I'm management. Ugh. Reminds me of that Dilbert episode. Pathway Technologies has merged with E-Tech Management. So what are we called now? Pathetic Management. I love Dilbert. It's a good show. It's a very good show. Alright, so we're going to take another look around the area. Make sure we didn't miss anything else related to the SSD. Again, everything else on this board we are going to go over with a fine-tooth comb, but I want to make sure that I got that customer's data before I move on and continue doing anything else. Alright, so I think we did. So I'm just going to plug it in again. Looks like it's time to seriously consider a crowdfund for the new digs. Here is $5 to it. You know, I've put quite a bit of thought into it, and I'm still undecided. I've gotten some people give good arguments in favor of crowdfunding, and they've done arguments against it, and I am thinking about it. It's definitely something to think about. Something I would not have thought about as much if it wasn't for the whole Oh, look, you did YouTube videos trying to help out hundreds of thousands of people. That makes you less eligible to get help when you need it from a bank kind of thing. That definitely changed my outlook entirely. Like, hearing that kind of took a lot of the stuff I said in my Patreon video from 4 years back and just kind of erased it, because at the time that I made that video, I was not aware that by making educational stuff that I'd be giving up my ability to get funding from a non-loan sharky kind of institution when I needed it, even if my model was sustainable, unlike most of these bullshit startups that people give money to when they don't make any. But anyway, let's see if we get this person's data. See if we can have some happy thoughts, happy stuff. Because if this person has their data back, I'm sure they will be very happy. So, we've plugged it in. It's going up to 20 volts. I'm plugging it on the left side because the USB-C circuitry on the right side seems entirely messed up. I would not want to put anything through that right now. And all we're looking for here is... Actually, we're not going to get anything because I forgot to plug in the damn lifeboat jumper. So the SSD is not going to be getting any power. Stupid me. So let's plug that in and see if we have this thing booting. So first, I'm just going to unplug the power from it. We are going to plug our SSD jumper in. What's the most common problem for an LCD connector that won't reconnect with the cable? Any quick fixes? The most common problem for an LCD connector that won't reconnect with the cable is that you're not plugging it in right. And the quick fix is to be patient. Sit down, breathe in, breathe out. Stop drinking coffee or Diet Coke or whatever other was making you jittery, and plug it in properly. There's no fix. There's just... Okay, we're going to plug this in and let's see if we get a fixed SAS drives bad cap. Can smart be reset? I have no idea. I've never tried. Sorry. I've never tried. I have no idea. I appreciate the $1.99, but unfortunately I have no answer to your question. So I'm plugging it on the left side, not the right side, because the left side seemed far less damaged. Actually, it seems virtually undamaged in contrast to the right side of the machine, which seemed like it was in pretty bad shape. So I'm plugging in the power to the left side, and I just want to see if I get a question mark folder or booting. It has been on now for about 10-20 seconds, and it's still not booting, which leads me to believe that there's still some work to be done if we're going to have an SSD on this computer. I'm guessing I'm going to get a question mark folder in a second. Big banks and capitalists may not have your back, but we sure do. Thank you, Levy Woolrich. I appreciate the $5. Thank you very much. So it looks like we're still getting a question mark folder, which means that there is probably still work to be done here. Nah. Wow. So sad. So sad. Okay, we're going to take another look around.
That's what I'm saying. So just finish what you're talking about.
Okay. Let's take another look through. I'm going to lower the temperature of my hot air station. I don't want to burn anything, I just want to blow the excess flux away. Hmm. Is there supposed to be something over here? You know, I wonder if there's supposed to be something over there. I bet there is. I bet there is. It looks like something was ripped off. It almost looks like somebody was here before me. That's no USB-C reset, not it. Thunderbolt something, not even close to it. Nah, that stuff's not it. I do wonder if Piccolo is in good condition, if several things going to Piccolo are in that bad condition. So the two resistors that I replaced were resistors going to this chip, which is going to deal with the solid-state drive. And my concern is that if several pieces connected to that were burned up, that perhaps the chip itself has died. So I believe that we've got some of those left. Just going to cover the NAND with tweezers so that I don't wind up burning it out. And let's replace that. Let's replace that little Piccolo. Maybe Piccolo died. Dot is in the upper right corner. Some of these pads don't want to tin very nicely. Like right in the middle over there. Wonder if those are probably the ground ones. Yeah, those are the ground ones. I don't gotta drive myself crazy there. Alright, we're going to get ourselves a new Piccolo from store.rossmangroup.com. That's store.rossmangroup.com. We're going to find ourselves a Piccolo. And Piccolo is in slot X6. So be right back. You're probably going to hear a bunch of static and noise because my wireless mic transmitter's my wireless mic receiver, I should say, is a piece of shit. So even with the squelch setting set, it's still going to output this ridiculously loud, obnoxious rubbish because... What does red mean?
What is what?
Oh, never mind. That's what red means. That little sound. That poor sound. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day in the neighborhood. Would you be mine? Would you be mine? It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day.
So I do have an update for you. So the folder that you wanted to get out was about 33 gigs. I was able to clone all of the data from that portion except the data on head 1. So what this means is that head 1 is actually bad and needs to do.
Steve is still working an hour after we closed because that woman really needed her data. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Would you be mine? Would you be mine? It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Would you be mine? Would you be mine? What's your stance on the sale of electronics to younger kids? I don't have one. I don't see it to be an issue. Oreo the cat, Suka Balat. Oreo the cat, Suka Balat. Dun, 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 dun. Oreo the cat, Suka Balat. Oreo the cat, Suka Balat. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Suka balat. Suka balat. Let's try that again. Something strange has gone on here. I used to have all sorts of little shields and pennies here, and they're all gone. They were very helpful when it came to shielding chips I did not want to heat. Alright, let's try that again. Won't you be my neighbor? Oreo the cat, Suka Balat. Oreo the kitten, Suka Balitin. Now you're going to hear some nice static from the microphone again because my...
And if he has to continue to send people there because, you know, we've been pleased and you knew we were in a bind or I wouldn't have called 10 times today.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Solicit good Google review.
Thank you so much.
Yep, thanks a lot. We'll stay in touch.
Yeah.
Not Yelp.
I can't solicit without data.
No, it's the opposite. You're in the better bargaining position. Must beat Sherlock. Oreo the cat. Suka Ballet. Won't you be my neighbor? I want to make sure the fibers don't get under the chip. My tweezers are hairier than they should be. I don't like hairy tweezers. You should be able to scratch the top of the chip and not have it move a distance greater than the diameter of one of the solder pads. I didn't do that before, but I did it now. Now I'm gonna heat that chip. Up in here, up in here. Da, 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 da. Good night, Steve. Good night, Orhan. Thank you. If I jump rope naked in front of the store for a week and I get a ride on the bike. Plus you can get Linus to the new store's grand opening. I don't know why I'd want Linus at the new store's grand opening, and I don't understand why I'd want to let a naked man on my bicycle. I would have to say no to each of those. I'd have to say a big no to each of those. A fuck no to each of those, actually. A GTFO, hell no to each of them. Alright, so let's see if we got it to turn on. $20 volts, 600 milliamps. Okay, so we are back where we started, which, believe it or not, often can actually be an accomplishment. Just being back to the shitty place you were when you started, and there's something to be said for that. Now let's see if we have this thing booting. If we don't, this board is going to go to Paul. And then you'll get to see what Paul does to fix it. Because we have a wire going to his desk now. Assuming Hi-Hi hooked it up properly. Hi-Hi's union. Took him a whole day to hook up one HDMI wire. I think 2 days, actually. Turn on the Paul Daniels software and see if we're getting any voltages on my SSD that I would expect to be getting on my SSD. Because I'm pretty sure I'm not, since it's not turning on. You're going to give me a question mark folder any second now. Yeah, you piece of shit. Okay, so let's see what we're missing. So where I had corrosion was on feedback for PP1V2 SSD hot. Is PP1V2 SSD there? 1.2 volts? I have 3.4. What? Oh, wrong resistor. We're still not getting PP1V2. Yeah, what the fuck? Alright, where does PP1V2 SSD hot come from? Son of a fucking piece of shit. Fucking Mac piece of shit. You fucking MacBook. Alright. PP1V2 hot is gonna, that's L9300. Alright, let's unplug this from the screen so that it's easier to access. MDHOFSTEE said, I think LTX 2020 is going to be a no-go for Lewis. Oh my god. Wow. People are they're so perceptive. Let's see. Okay. I hope you're having a decent day and told that architect proposal to GTFO. Yeah. I'm just going to find another one. I spoke to 2 contractors today that may be worthwhile. I say maybe because they're very flaky. It's hard to get a yes or no. It's usually just ignore you forever kind of thing. It's difficult to get a yes or no. Okay, so it looks like Piccolo is producing nothing for my SSD. This is a new Piccolo. New Piccolo. And we're not getting a damn thing. So we're going to have to figure out why that's not being created. Now. lifeboat connector. This area looks fine. That resistor, that's supposed to be 0 ohms for feedback over there. Let's see if Paul Daniels' amazing software tells me that that's 0 ohms. Wait a second. You are 0 ohms? Alright. Why does every stream I do wind up turning into a Linus Fest? Must this be a Linus Fest? Can't this just be a let's fix a board fest? Okay. Okay, so we look through here, and I'll clean one more time. Says who? MDHOFSTEE. Really? Really now? Like it's not Dennis Ritchie. It's not an actual design engineer. It's not EEV blog. Rob, who says that? Alright, so the resistor that I put there, no, this is the resistor I put in that I wasn't. This was the 1.3 million ohm resistor. Yep, and that's measuring what it's supposed to. Alright, so let's see if there's anything that would be creating that rail. Do we have any sort of enable signal for the SSD? Yeah, they're supposed to be John Beavers. Those, it just means those are two pads that are putting out the same thing. Okay, so we got a couple of signals here. That would be of interest to me. Storage L logic board enable, I'm guessing that's what that is. SSD reset. My bad for lack of context. People wanting porn of Lewis and Linus because of buses and lame. I got $1 mods. Hello, Rafflecopter. Yeah, I'm not really sure what. What is storage LB and EN coming from? This is starting to become miserable shit. Tell me the only place to measure that is, of course, under the fucking board. I guess I can measure it over here as well. Storage LBEN. There's a probe point. And the probe point doesn't look like it's corroded, so I'll take a measurement from down there. We've got SSD reset, LB. And that's also something I can measure over here. Actually, you can measure all the SSD stuff in this cute little spot over here. Take a look at this. Look at that. And all over there we have storage LBEN, PP1V8 SSD cold. Alright, so let's just take some measurements down there and see what's going on. Okay, so we have 3.3 volts on SSD reset. Now, storage LBEN. Storage LBEN has present. PP1V8 SSD cold. PP1V8 SSD cold is missing. PP0V9 SSD reg. PP0V9 SSD reg is missing. You're the man. Linus can't do board repair. Linus can do other things I can't do. Who cares about Linus? Fig, tell me why my board is not making my SSD voltages so I can get this person's data. .3 volts. All the enables appear to be present. The rest of these are just JTAGs, which I don't care about. So all the enable voltages are there for the NAND, but the NAND is not turning on. And this is even with a new Piccolo. It's pretty interesting. You have no corrosion by Piccolo itself. You only have corrosion by ancillary parts to Piccolo. Let's take another look up here at some of these traces and see if we're missing something. This is still, this is really, really strange. I was going to grab an L back tomorrow. Toss him into this ADA compliant store that we have here and make him deal with this shit. He would love to deal with a board that has all the enables but no NAND voltage. Towards your first tin of paint for the new office. Thank you very much for the 4 pounds and 99 ounces. I don't know how you say British money. This is Mesa, so that's burned. That's not a good thing, but that's got nothing to do with our issue. That's burned. That's related to audio. That's got nothing to do with our SSD. I really don't want to go down the hole of fixing every little thing on this board that's minorly corroded. That has nothing to do with solid state drive, because that's going to waste a lot of time and with no guarantee of helping us with our problem. John is right. Look like 2 jump pads Piccolo. Yes. Yes, they are. That's the point. There are, if you look under Piccolo, let's say we go to Piccolo. See this? Ground, ground. 1V8 cold, 1V8 cold. PP3V3 S5 SSD. Oh, you can't see. Look. See this? Look, this and this are the same thing. This and this are the same thing. This and this are the same thing, and so on and so forth. There are many times where it, look, see, same here. PP1V2 SSD hot, PP1V2 hot, same thing. There are many pads that do, many areas where you need more contact for higher current lines and whatnot, and that's what that does. This is for a sensor chip. I know I don't need that at the moment. I really don't want to go down the rabbit hole replacing a bunch of shit I don't need. But okay. Like, there's this stuff over here, but this is all for Thunderbolt. And I just can't imagine how Thunderbolt is going to stop my drive from working. Like, all the stuff that's corroded is related to USB-C. It has nothing to do with the solid-state drive not working. I wonder if there's any sort of hidden probe under the charge port at this point. After that, we're probably just going to leave this one for good old Paul. It's time to toss this board into the Paul queue. I really don't want to get sucked into replacing all that Thunderbolt shit, only to realize that that it's something else. And I know that's what I'm gonna do. That's what's gonna happen. I've been down this type of rabbit hole before. I know how this ends. This ends served. This ends with Lewis wasting all of his time. Wait a second. Oh, never mind. You're supposed to be a resistor. Meh. I thought I put the wrong thing somewhere. That would have been nice if I put the wrong resistor there. And things would have made sense. Well, why not hook up bench power supply to the SSD? Because there's 3 different rails, so I need 3 different bench power supplies, one on top of the other. And I don't have that. I mean, I could technically steal all the tech's power supplies to do that, but that would be a lot of work. Yeah, there's no shortage of nasty stuff on this board. It's just all the stuff that's nasty is nothing to do with the SSD anymore. Thank you, Addy. I appreciate that very much. Unfortunately, it is time to call it quits on this board since I have a Paul. Knowing that I have a Paul means that this board can suck it for now. This board is going to get tossed into the Paul queue where it belongs.